If you know what an all-button arcade controller is, then you've heard of Haute42. You will know their controllers are feature-packed, customizable, and are excellent value. They've taken the market by storm, but it seems they're not resting on their laurels just yet. The latest entry in their growing catalogue of controllers is proof that Haute42 are still refining their craft, and it shows how a small change to one of their most popular controllers can make a big difference. This is the Haute42 R16. Hello friends, before we talk about the key features of the R16, I just want to quickly mention that Haute42 are currently going through a brand overhaul, so you might see the name Cosmox around their storefront on AliExpress. Also, thanks to Haute42 for sending this over to me. I do get to keep the controller, but they've not instructed me to say anything in this video, so all views are my own. If the form factor of the R16 has caught your eye, you might be asking yourself how it differs from Haute42's similar looking T16. Let's start with the button rims. This is an obvious difference and a big deal for me because they're good for dust protection and good for aiding 360 throw commands when using the slide technique, and that looks like this. Without the rims, there's a higher chance of my finger snagging. I do have to use the joint on my finger to slide rather than the tip, but it's still easier than trying this on the G-series controllers. Rims are a feature of traditional arcade sticks and in my opinion look aesthetically pleasing. And I don't care what anyone says, but a good looking controller makes me excited to touch it more often. Nice. Another thing to note is that the M2 button on the R16 is positioned here at the left pinky. I don't have much of an opinion on this because it doesn't make a difference to my playstyle, but some might find it useful to bind something there. Beyond this, other differences are subtle. It's slightly thinner at 10mm compared to 12mm on the T16. The other dimensions are the same, so it's got a big chin, which I find comfortable, and it's spacious so it doesn't feel cramped like some all-button controllers can. The dimensions make it a good choice if you're looking for a controller that sits comfortably on your lap. For my OCD friends, the jump button is aligned with the center screw and the distance from buttons to edge is satisfyingly uniform. This little detail alone goes to show that Haute42 are looking out for their fans and willing to take our serious needs seriously. The jump button isn't perfectly aligned with the USB socket, but it's not far off enough to be distracting. I give them a pass on that. The product listing says it runs on a Raspberry Pi RP2040, but it's recognized as a GP2040 CE when plugging it in. To my knowledge, these are essentially the same thing. It's also recognized as a T16, which means it performs just as well and can do all the things that other GP2040 controllers can do, like switching input and SLCD modes, customizable RGB, an online configurator, and compatibility with almost every current platform. To use this on the PS5, all I had to do was plug in Haute42's new Booter 5 converter and hold the Y button when plugging in the controller for the first time. A Brook Wingman also works, but this sticks out uncomfortably, so I highly recommend the Booter 5, which costs less and has an amazingly small footprint. It's compatible with all Haute42 controllers, and you can use the link in the description to buy this dongle and support my channel. So how does the controller play? Honestly, much better than I expected. The stock switches feel very good. They're light and springy, super responsive, and don't give me the same fatigue that I get from using the switches on my Kitsune. After using this for a while, the Kitsune has started to feel mushy under my fingers. Also, the switches don't make any high-pitched noises. They thud quietly, so I would confidently use this controller for late night sessions. And long sessions with these buttons are nice because of the soft matte finish on the button caps. One thing I have to be careful about is the R3 button here. This will depend on how you place your fingers and how you press your buttons, but I like to rest my right thumb on either the X button or jump button. So I've occasionally hit this button by accident, something to be aware of if you position your hands in a similar way. The function buttons feel wobbly and they're not the most pleasant to use, but the soft nubs make them acceptably comfortable. If you've used other Haute42 controllers, you'll be familiar with them. And if you end up modding art on yours, don't forget to relabel these function buttons on a template. Trust me on this one. Overall, it's very pleasant to use, nicer than controllers I own that are much more expensive. And that's a key point to remember. For the price, we're getting a controller that has no right to feel this good. Modding fans, you'll be happy to hear that the R16 is just as customizable as some of the Haute42's other controllers. It uses the acrylic sandwich build that's quite common these days, and that also means it's simple to dismantle and put back together. Here we can change the art from front to back, we can change the splash screen and the switches, and it's probably also possible to source different button caps. The jump button is 25.8mm, whilst the smaller action buttons are 20.6mm. I won't be changing the button caps, but I am going for some custom art on the front and back, dabbling with the splash screen, and I'm going to try Haute42's brand new wind engine switches. They collaborated with KO to make these, and from what I can see from the product details, all the stats are identical, but the wind engine has a lower travel compared to their standard crystal switches. In layman's terms, this means repeated presses should execute faster. Link in the description. Haute42 has nailed it with the R16. It has all the essential features that current gamers are looking for, and it provides them at a fiercely competitive price. You can buy this controller, mod it from front to back, add a Bootify for PS5 compatibility, and it would still come in for less than half the price of a Razer Kitsune, Victrix, and most of the boutique models out there. Existing Haute42 owners, you don't need this if you already have a T16, unless the button rooms will make a difference to you or you want a slightly more aesthetically pleasing controller. It's just as moddable as other Haute42 controllers, so if you've got an addiction for modding these, go ahead and add it to your collection. Yes, I am judging you, but I do understand. Newcomers to all button controllers, this is a no-brainer. You get to try out the leverless Life at a good price and decide what you want to do next. If you enjoy it, you can upgrade to something else, stick to this as your daily driver, or just go back to your pad. No harm done. The bottom line is you can't go wrong with the R16. The price to value ratio is too good to beat. So that's it for today's video. I appreciate you dropping by, and if the R16 sounds right for you, check it out in the links below to support my channel. I've got a review for the M16 Plus coming soon, and also a split layout leverless on the horizon, so do subscribe if you're interested in those. Drop a like if you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.